So as many of you know, here on the channel, mostly what we cover is PvE content. When it came to Ghost War and Wildlands, it was not very promising for me, and honestly it never really caught my attention as much as the PvE did. But honestly, with what we've gotten to see so far, as well as all of the information that is constantly being put out about PvP, I have to say that this time around I am extremely interested. And that's exactly why in today's video we're going to be going over a Q&A that the developers just put out, where they go ahead and touch up on a lot of interesting topics that I've seen a lot of you talk about in my comments. Stuff like tiered weapons, how exactly the weapon mark upgrades are going to be working in PvP, how the skill tree is going to work, which perks will and will not be a part of PvP, as well as some meta balancing and how they're going to be tackling that stuff. So of course, like always, let's waste no more time and let's get right into it. Now for starters, in my comments over the last few weeks or even months, the number one thing that has been talked about is tiered weapons and how that is going to affect the PvP, which leads me into the very first question that we're going to be looking at, and that is, will a player with a higher quality weapon have an advantage over a player with a lower tier weapon? Where the developer went ahead and replied with, higher quality weapons come with passive bonuses, which can impact the behavior of weapons. However, we have balanced these bonuses to ensure that player skill is always what decides a fight. This philosophy is maintained even with the quality of a weapon. Now, of course, with hearing this information, it doesn't really help us much because we obviously don't know what those passive abilities are. So that then leads us to the next question, which is, what exactly do these passive abilities do? Now, the developers did provide an answer for this, and they went ahead and said these bonuses can affect the behavior of a weapon, such as reload speed or range, but it does not impact damage capabilities. I know that there is a lot of confusion surrounding all of this information right now, especially since nobody has really gotten their hands on the PvP as far as the public goes. But basically what they're saying here is that regardless whether the person has a gray gun or they have a blue gun, both weapons will be putting out the same amount of damage, of course assuming they are the same exact gun and different rarities. So although I know this is going to just spark up a lot more questions in the comments about tiered weapons, hopefully it does settle some of your minds. But now that we've more or less set aside the tiered aspect of it, now the next question is, how exactly are mark upgrades going to be working in the PvP aspect? Well, their answer to that is, weapon marks also work in PvP so that players can upgrade to their preferred weapon. We made sure that the upgrades add only a marginal amount of stats to the weapons. In the end, well-placed shots will matter more over the upgrade level of the weapon you are firing. So this is really interesting because if we remember in the PvE, yes, the mark upgrades are very small amounts, but as far as I'm aware, there is damage upgrades in those mark upgrades. So that's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out, because then that sort of contradicts the tiered. I don't know. I'm really curious to hear what you guys have to say. Like I said, I was never really into the PvP in Wildlands, so I'm kind of just a messenger here. I really am curious to hear what some of you veterans and pros out there have to say about this, because I feel like this is going to really make the difference. But anyways, moving on from that and moving into the next hot topic, which is the skill tree. If you guys remember when Wildlands Ghost War came out, there was a big issue because a lot of the skill tree stuff that we had, such as thermal vision, were abused within the actual Ghost War gameplay. So the big question here is, with shared progression now, how is this going to play out with what skills you have unlocked and what you don't? And for this, they went ahead and replied with, it mostly remains the same in PvP. However, some perks like night vision will be automatically available in PvP even if they're not unlocked in the PvE. Other perks may have their effects capped or do not apply for Ghost Wars, such as thermal vision. We have applied this approach to several perks which would otherwise give an advantage in PvP over lower level players. So definitely right here off the bat, I can say that it's a great idea that they've disabled thermal vision. It was obvious that they were going to do that, and I'm really glad that they did. Night vision being available off rip is also an excellent idea. Now, as for the other stuff that might be getting capped out, I'm going to have to look over my footage of the skill tree itself. I don't really think that there was that many crazy stuff that they could disable, but like I said, I'm going to have to go over that footage again because there is a absolute crap ton of them. Now moving into the following thing, and that is perks. So this is also a very touchy topic because within the actual PvP, which is all everybody has kind of gotten access to, some of the perks are really crazy. So the question right now is, what perks will they be adding in exclusively for PvP, and what perks will be getting removed from being accessed within it? So for the first question, they went ahead and responded with, we have 3 perks that are specific to PvP. The first one being severe wounds increases the revive duration of your victim by a few seconds. Second Second one, quick hands increase speed when reviving and interacting with the surveillance system and sabotage bombs. And finally, sacrifice, consume a health chunk to gain class technique charge. Now, as for which perk is not going to be available in PvP, they only have one listed currently, and that is 6 Sense. The reason for this is pretty obvious. You don't want to be able to mark enemies through buildings because that would just plain out be broken. I mean, it's kind of common sense at this point. So definitely some good additions and definitely a very good one to get rid of. So I would like to hear maybe some ideas that you guys have. Who knows, maybe we'll get some more perks post launch. So if you guys have any that you would like to add to that list, make sure to let me know in the comments. But anyways, moving on to the final thing that we're going to be touching up on, and that is meta balancing. Now, as you guys know, it is inevitable for a game to get a meta at some point in time. Now, in some of these cases, the metas could be a very good thing for the game, and in other cases, they can be just absolutely broken. And honestly, with the answer the developers gave us here, I feel like they're going at it with a very, very good approach. So they were asked, how do you balance the experience to prevent a forced meta developing in Ghost War? Where they went ahead and replied with, while meta can be healthy, we will monitor how players use the tools we have given them along with the meta that develops from this. We will make tweaks if an unhealthy meta begins to develop. One thing that I do really like about this statement is the fact that they're approaching this with a very open mind. If they see that something is working and is being healthy, they are not going to touch it. They're just going to basically leave it the way that it is. But if something is unhealthy, then they're obviously going to go in and make the tweaks that they need to make. I know that when it came to Ghost War, there was a lot of limitations on what they could and couldn't change, because as far as I'm aware, there was never any plans for post-launch content for actual Wildlands. So it's definitely really, really good to see now that they have the proper tools implemented to be able to make these changes whenever they need to. Now, as I said in the start of this video, I was never really into PvP, so I'm not 100% sure on how they put out the news and all of that stuff. But as far as I'm aware, it's always been through the Ghost Recon website. But at the bottom, they go ahead and ask, will you communicate these changes, and if so, how? Where the developer went ahead and responded with, we will announce changes to PvP through the PvP news system. My opinion, it shows that they're really taking this serious this time around. But anyways, with all of this information that was just shared, are you guys looking forward to Ghost War? And did any of these answers settle your minds on what you guys thought about Ghost War? If so, let me know in the comments, and if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to drop a like on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for all types of Breakpoint content. You guys have been showing crazy amounts of support the last few days, and honestly, I really, really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much, and welcome to all of our new subscribers. We're slowly but surely creeping up on 25,000 subscribers, and it's absolutely insane to me. And honestly, I'm just super excited for Breakpoint, and I'm really, really excited and really happy to be covering content again, because honestly, truly, this is what I love to do. So thank you to every single one of you that are constantly leaving me comments, motivating me and pushing me every single day to push these videos out. But that's pretty much going to do it for today's video. Like always, I will see you guys in the next one.